Welcome to the Spheres of Spirit with Nancy Myers, aka the Lady of the Light. Nancy will discuss the everyday magic and wisdom of spirit which surrounds each of us, waiting to be discovered. She will share some of her remarkable orb photos, proving that our angels, guides, loved ones in spirit, and even pets surround us and guide us in our physical world. During this episode, Nancy will discuss one of the many spheres or aspects of spirit available to us based on her orb photography. She will also share a special channeled message from her guide, Leonini, and do an oracle card reading to help guide you along your personal spiritual adventure. And now, here is your host, orb photographer, author, medium, and speaker, Nancy Myers.
Hi, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me today. And one of the spheres today that I'm going to talk about of spirit is one that seems to be happening more and more to people all over the world. It's astral traveling. And when I first started on my spiritual journey, I was so ignorant of everything. I had never heard of it, but it's becoming more and more vital, I believe, that we all are educated on that. Now, I always tell you when I start my show and I talk about anything, I can only speak to you from my experiences. Oops, it says that I've lost connection. Let's see. Let me see if I'm still on there. I'll just continue. So when I do this show, I tell you that I'm not an expert in anything. I have no initials after my name. I'm guided to talk about certain topics by my son, Robbie, who's in spirit, and we work together. But I also talk about it of what I've experienced, what I've learned, what I've read about. And the purpose of this show, one of the purposes, is just to maybe crack the door open for you. We are all responsible for our own spiritual journey, our own education, our own knowledge. And so I encourage you, if something piques your interest, please follow up on that. So let's talk about astral traveling. What is astral traveling? Astral traveling is also known as astral projection, soul journey, spiritual journey, and there's many things. Astral traveling is an intentional out-of-body experience, which separates the consciousness from the physical body. It's been around for a very, very long time, but the term astral projection was made popular in the West by Theosophist founder Madame Blavatsky. So back to astral projection. What is it? How is it defined other than by Madame Blavatsky? Merriam-Webster says astral projection is the ability of a person's spirit to travel to distant places. Wow. Robert Monroe, who I'm going to talk about in a minute, he was kind of a pioneer in bringing this to the forefront of the modern Western world. He defines astral projection as a technique of leaving one's physical body temporarily, that's important, and moving about in a non-material or astral body. So what he's saying is we have this body within us that we can separate from this physical body and travel around in a non-material plane. So, Chris, can we bring up the first slide? Hopefully that's coming up because I can't see it. Okay, so Chris says it's up. So this is, most of these memes that I put together are always from recent orb pictures. This one I paired up, and it's a quote from Frederick Lenz, and it says, "Everything is a state of mind. Astral travel is the ability to wander through different states of mind and develop psychic perceptions." Who's Frederick Lenz? He was known as the American Buddhist and brought Buddhism to the United States. He was a mysticism, and he incorporated the New Age ideas. So he says everything is a state of mind. That's important to know. We're going to talk about that more. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. So we have astral body, we have astral traveling, astral journeying, all prefaced by the word astral. So what is astral? So according to the Cambridge Dictionary, astral is relating to a non-physical universe. A non-physical universe with mysterious forces in it that some people believe to exist. So that's the astral. It also can some people think it's the cosmos. Some people think it's out in the universe. It's almost like a prefix, if you will. So another term that we have that's attached to that astral word is our astral body. And I touched on that just a second ago. And again, Theosophy, which was founded by Madame Blavatsky, says or defines it is a super sensible substance. This is how they define our astral body. There is a super sensible substance which pervades all space and forming the substance of our second body. Now, this to me is very important because not only are they saying the substance pervades all space, but we are made up of this substance. It forms our second body, our astral body. So no wonder we can leave and go to the astral plane, according to the Theosophy. And it says every individual has this. It accompanies the individual through life, this astral body, and is able to leave the human body at will and survives the death of the physical body. That's the definition of an astral body. So let's go and see what the next term is astral plane. We talked briefly about that. Again, in Theosophy, it is a non-physical level or realm of being. It's separate from the physical one, but accessible from the physical one by means of one's astral body, or by people with psychic powers. And it is believed to be inhabited, this astral plane is believed to be inhabited by angels, other non-physical beings. That's the astral plane. And we reach it through our astral body. So let's talk about different types of astral travel because there are many. What you're going to see here too today is there are many terms that overlap. There are many experiences that overlap. So we're going to talk about that. So the first is astral travel or astral projection, and it's an occurrence that may seem like a dream. But it's what's happening when the person's consciousness leaves the body. It can leave the body during sleep or deep meditation. It can also leave the body when you're awake. There's many ways for the astral body to leave and go to the astral plane. It's really quite a phenomenon. This is one way that our own spirit may choose to meet with past loved ones or go back and go to our guides and talk to our guides and literally get guidance, right? Usually when this takes place, people aren't even aware that they are astral traveling. All they know is that when they were the old Superman series, he would run and put his hands up and leap and he'd take off in the air. That's how I was flying. That's how I would take off in my dreams. But it was so real. So it's an astral projection. Usually involves an intentional effort to send your consciousness from your body. So we're going to talk about these intentions in a minute. It usually refers to your conscious traveling out of your body toward a spiritual plane, as they say, or even another dimension, which to me is another astral plane. Again, the fold over. Okay, so I know I'm breaking up a little bit, but I'm going to keep going. So, there's another thing that's called an out-of-body experience, which technically astral projection is, right? You are out of your body. But the term out of body, or OBE, is usually unplanned. And rather than traveling, your consciousness is said to simply float or hover above your physical body. That happens a lot in like near-death experiences. Or if you've had a traumatic event, or going through an emotional, all of a sudden you're up above your body, and it's almost like a form of protection. It's almost like, okay, I can't take this, so take me out of my body, let this pass, and then I'll come back in. So an out of body is similar to astral traveling, but the spirit body will actually separate again from the physical body. Now, there's a couple schools of thoughts on out of body experiences. Um, I follow a lot of videos about near death experiences. I find them fascinating. And so they say they pop out of their body. And some people, if they're with people who are experiencing an out of body, can hear that pop. And it's also happens, like I said, with the near death. It's a little more common. It's not to mean that that silver cord has been severed. I don't know if you're familiar with the silver cord. Some believe that our soul is tied to our human physical body through a silver cord. If that cord was ever to be severed, then you pass on to the next realm um, for real. You can't come back. But if you're traveling, if you're flying, if you're having an astral projection moment, that cord extends into infinity. So you can go as far as you want. So, out of bodies, OBEs are largely recognized within the medical community, which I found fascinating because they don't always, the medical community doesn't always recognize, the spiritual side. And they have studied, the medical people have studied these out of body experiences. And these experiences they find can be linked to, as I said, mental health conditions like epilepsy, anxiety, disorders. Astral projection, however, the difference is astral projection is considered to be a spiritual practice. So, Chris, can we bring up that next slide? I can't tell when you're doing it, so let me know when it's up and running. Thoughts and actions. Oh, I can see it now. And embrace your natural ability to create your reality. All things are possible. I'm going to read that one more time. When you take complete responsibility for your thoughts and actions and embrace your natural ability to create your reality, all things are possible. That's by a gentleman named William Buhlman, who I'm going to talk about in just a moment. But what I want to talk about is if you look at that orb, and my son, I just had a reading and my son came in and he said, Mom, the orbs are going to change and you're going to start seeing numbers. I've never captured numbers in orbs before, but now I have. I've captured probably 5 different numbers. This is the number 18. And I always look up to see what the resonance is. He's told me that when the numbers appear, they will reflect either a frequency, a vibration, a meeting, and we need to take notice of that. So here's what the number 18 also means. Spiritually, the angel number 18 can mean finding the path to progress. It is a number of spiritual awakening, finding purpose, the power of infinite possibilities, and the importance of self-belief. Your angels are supporting you and encouraging you to embrace changes that take you closer to the life you desire. Now that goes perfectly with what Buhlman is telling us about this natural ability innate in all of us to astral travel. We just need to become aware of it. We need to take responsibility to finding out about it, learning about it, training in it, and we can do it. So thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. So I just thought that the timing of everything, divine timing is everything. And when my son comes in and says, Mom, watch for the numbers. And, here's the number 18. And by the way, my son told me that, as I said in the beginning of this, I hope it didn't cut out. He wanted me to talk about astral traveling because it's very important. And we're going to touch on that. And then here's this orb with the number 18 in it. So just fascinating to me. Okay, so another kind of out-of-body experience is called bilocation. And again, there's going to be some overlap in this. Bilocation is a form of astral traveling or astral projection. I guess it's a subset. I don't know. Bilocating is when a person is able to project their consciousness to another location. That location, when they're there, they're able to hear, see, and even speak using that astral body, all the while being able to function consciously from somewhere else in their physical body. To me, that's fascinating. I love how things are starting to seep into the spiritual world, things vernacular, like even in Star Wars. Evidently, in The Last Jedi, there were lots of twists and turns, and one of them was when Luke Skywalker was able to bilocate, and he had to go defeat somebody. I didn't see the movie, but I love how that bleeds into or brings in the idea and makes it normal. The more we hear about this, the more we see it. It's not such an abstract concept or going, oh my God, that's just nuts. But that's how it all starts. So, and now one more that I'm going to talk about, a type of astral traveling. It's called remote viewing. Now, many of you have probably heard of remote viewing. A lot of mediums, or some mediums, are very capable of that. What remote viewing is the person or the medium almost goes into a trance or a meditation, and they can take their consciousness and in fact, the CIA uses remote viewers. I know back in the Carter administration, they used remote viewers to find where one of our spy planes crashed. I think it was either in South America or Africa, and they found it. So it's, when the CIA recognizes that remote viewing is a thing and they employ it, then, it's real, and we're all capable of doing this. So I want to talk about, well, let me go back to the difference again between astral traveling and out-of-body experiences, because there are some thoughts in the medical field that, and I have to present both sides, that astral travel can also be attributed to delusion, hallucination, vivid dreams. And this is according to some psychologists. And I have to agree with them. There's a lot of people right now doing DMT, which is a hallucinogenic. It's a chemical that's made inside our pineal gland, which is a very important spiritual tool. But so they take extra DMT and they say they float out of their body up to the ceiling. And then there's a lot of people that do ayahuasca. Ayahuasca use has just exploded. Most people have a very good experience. Some people, if they're not prepared correctly, can have basically a frightening experience. But it can be okay. So an out-of-body experience, on the other hand, is usually unplanned. Where an astral projection is you go to sleep at night with the intent, I want to leave my body. We're going to talk about more of that. But the out-of-body experience, again, can go back to reflect to, it's almost like a survival technique. Okay, you're going to pop out of your body and come back when things settle down. And rather than travel, an out-of-body experience seems to stay very close to your body. Many near-death experiences, they never leave the operating room or their bedroom where they just had a heart attack. They stay right there. So, so what is an OBE feel like? It's linked to, like I said, the popping, or all of a sudden you blink and you just have slipped out of you. OBE and an astral projection are very similar, but the exact same is of each is not true. Two different experiences. Although technically, again, this is the overlap, an out-of-body experience is astral projection in a way. One just seems to stop and the other progresses, okay? So here's what it kind of feels like. A feeling of floating outside your body, an altered perception of the world, excuse me, and the feeling that you're up looking down. So astral travel is found in various cultures throughout many ages. And we're going to talk about this. I'm going to take my break right here. I'm going to finish with, in the second half, talking about what an OB is and some famous people that did it. And then I'm going to share my experience. I have an amazing, remarkable message, a comforting message from Leonini to share with you. And if I can get through all this in time, I have 2 card decks that I want to pull for you today. So let's take a quick break. I'll be right back and we'll finish this up. Thanks for staying with me.
Times TV. The story told in Entering the Light Fantastic, Discovering Life After Life Through Orbs, is about Nancy Meyer's spiritual and emotional rising from the devastating ashes of loss caused by the sudden and unexpected passing of her son Robbie. Just like the legend of the reborn phoenix, Nancy's life purpose and focus was transformed. With the help from her son in spirit, Nancy found herself providing proof through orbs that our souls do not die with our bodies. In her second book, Encircled by the Light Fantastic, A Deeper Journey into the Light with Orbs, Nancy continues chronicling her path of gaining spiritual knowledge and expanding acceptance of what is possible, while traveling to many sacred and ancient sites around the world. She shares these experiences with you along with her photographs of remarkable spirit encounters. Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. Om Times Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, Om Times offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an Om Times magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on Om Times TV and broadcasting it across the extensive Om Times radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. Om Times. Open yourself to the possibilities.
¿Qué color? Perfecto, mijo. Gracias. Thank you. What's wrong, mijo?
Donating to a pet's medical care is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
Okay, and we're back. And again, I apologize for my connection. I don't know what's going on, so I will try to soldier through. So I wanted to just go through some of the history of information about astral traveling. It goes way back. The ancient Egyptians believed that the soul, which they called Ba, had the ability to hover outside the physical body using their subtle body. So they kind of believed what the theosophists that I talked about earlier said. Yoga, their philosophy, the human body, they believe is made of 3 bodies: the physical, which we all know, the astral, which we just talked about, and the causal body, and that's known as the soul. So yoga believes there's 3 bodies that we inhabit, and they can all separate if they want. Some practices believe that there's as many as 7 different bodies. Um, I'm not going to get into all of those. You can go online and look those up. But it's just to let you know that we're more than meets the eye. So this practice, this knowledge of being able to separate one of those bodies, whichever number you believe in, is found all over the world. As I said, the Egyptians, the Hindu, the Inuits, the tribes of the Amazon, the Japanese, the Taoists, the Judaic, and even the Christians. And the church, it kind of cracks me up. If someone other than the church is doing it, or a cleric or a nun, it's evil. But if the church does it, it's okay. But even Paul wrote about it this is what he wrote, Paul, in Corinthians. I know a man in Christ who 14 years ago was caught up in the 3rd heaven. Whether it was in the body or out of body, I do not know. So even Paul back then was writing about it. One of the earliest writings in the Western world. Now, the Eastern world, they're so far ahead of us in this stuff. We're the Western world starting to catch up and going, oh, maybe there's some stuff to this. Is by a man named Emanuel Swedenborg. And he came up with this philosophy. It's called Swedenborgianism. But he emphasized in his spiritual philosophy the structure of the universe, the possibility of direct contact with spirits and the divine. One of the followers of this was Helen Keller. And she wrote in her book called My Religion, Helen Keller, and how she once traveled astrally to Athens. So I want to read this quick excerpt from it. She says, Helen Keller, I've been far away all this time, and I haven't left the room. It was clear to me that it was because I was a spirit that I had so vividly seen and felt a place 1,000 miles away. Space was nothing to spirit. And let me see if I can find my page where that continues. Because that's the end of the quote. So what she's saying is space was nothing to spirit. So one thing that I have learned when you astral travel is thought. If you think it, you're there. It's an incredible thing. We're going to talk about that with when I get into William Buhlman here. What they called the bilocating nun. And it is said that she left, she was dressed all in blue. She would bilocate to New Mexico and meet with the native tribes and teach them Christianity. She would heal. She said they said she did this over 500 times. And when you talk to the native tribes, they said, they will tell you they were instructed by the lady in blue. She never made it there physically. And this was before the Spanish came to set up all their missions. So again, it's, I guess it goes back to the 1600s. I'm sorry. So it's really pervasive in history. So another person that I want to talk about is one of my heroes, and Edgar Cayce. who's called the sleeping prophet. So people say, oh, he would lay down and go in a trance, and then he could, like some mediums do. Yes, yes, yes. So, but he was so adept at it. He would lay down, tell himself, okay, I'm going to leave and go. And boom, he was there. He was in front of somebody. Let's say he was in Virginia and he was reading someone in Nebraska. And in an instant, he was there seeing this man. Not only that, but diagnosing him. So it was, he was quite incredible in his ability to do that. One of the earliest people here in the United States to bring this to the forefront was a man named Robert Monroe. Now, some of you might have heard of him. He set up the Monroe Institute in Virginia. And he was someone who this started happening to back in the 40s, 30s. And he had nowhere to turn. He didn't know what was happening to him. It's fascinating to read his story, how he determined it, how he learned to control it. And he wrote, his book is called Journeys Out of the Body. And he is credited with popularizing the term out of body experience. Again, there's that overlap of astral travel and out of body experience. When I was on my early in my spiritual journey, the right books would always come to me at the right time that I was supposed to read them. And one of the books that arrived was written by William Buhlman, who I've mentioned a couple times, and it was called Adventures Beyond the Body. And this was his first book. I think he's written 5 or 6 books since then. But it chronicled his experience with it, how he started it, how he learned to control it, what happened to him, what he did when he was outside of his body. And you, my son, and he's reading the book that you're reading. And I went, oh, okay. And he said to tell you, yes, Mom, you can put your hand through the wall. And I went, what? Because I was right at the chapter in William Buhlman's book where he talks about his astral body would come out of his body, how he just sat up or rolled over and pop out of his body. And, at first he could only walk around the room, and then he would float, and then he would start walking through walls, and then he would start flying, and then he would start thinking about, where do I want to go? And he would be there. And I was flabbergasted. I said, what do you mean? My son said, I can put my hand through the wall. This was all new to me. But Robbie was, okay, am I there? Hopefully I'm there. Okay, sorry, you guys. So I was talking about the Astral Traveling and William Buhlman and his instructions, and I have tried some of that. But what I found fascinating is William Buhlman talks about what he does on the other side. And sometimes there's work that he does in healing or helping souls. He also can meet up with other souls. And I did have experience with that. One time I had a friend and we said, let's make this pact and we're going to meet and on the other side. And I had an experience where I was in this room. It was all white and there was file cabinets and people I didn't know. And so then we compared notes and she was in the exact same place. So it's amazing what you can do. But now my husband, he has flying dreams a lot. And he has an experience when he's starting to astral travel, his eyelids will be closed, but all of a sudden he can see through them. It's like, okay, his astral body is starting to come out of his physical body. Now, one of the signs of astral traveling, which is important for you to recognize, because I think we've all had this at one time or another. You'll have vivid dreams, and they're like, oh, that was more than a dream. I was there. Yes, you were there. When I have dreams of my son Robbie and he's there and I hug him, I'm not doing that in this plane. I'm doing it in the astral plane. Another thing, like I said, is the flying. One thing that happens to me, and especially when I was younger, this happened all. That's you coming back into your body. That's you letting you know, oh, you were away for a little while. William Buhlman says one of the classic things before you take off astral traveling is you'll be asleep, or right in that twilight, and your body starts to vibrate. I've had that happen to me a couple of times, and it's almost electrical, and sometimes it's almost like a vibration. And other times you have experienced paralysis. You think you're awake and you go to move and you can't. Well, that's your soul protecting you. You want to stay still. So, what you have to do is take the fear out, take the, oh my gosh, what's happening to me? Kind of attitude, and embrace it and go, okay, here we go. I'm getting ready to go. You just change your mindset. But information, knowledge, protection, all that comes into play. Astral traveling is not a parlor game. Astral traveling is very important. And last week, I want to tell you about 3 episodes that I've had with me. The very first time it freaked me out. I got a call from a good friend and she was all excited. And she goes, Nancy, the strangest thing happened to me last night. She said, I woke up, and she's in another city. I woke up and you were standing at the foot of my bed. I could see you, but I could kind of see through you. And she said, you just glowed. There was a light that came from within. And she said, I felt so comforted. And so she said, I wasn't afraid. And well, it freaked me out. I have no knowledge of that. I have no memory of that. And then it happened again several months later with another person. And they called me and they said, you were next to me in my room last night. I had no memory of that. 2 weeks ago, maybe 10 days ago, I woke up. My husband said, I had the strangest thing happen to me. And I said, what? And he said, I kind of woke up in the middle of the night. He goes, I know I was awake. And I looked and you were standing at the side of my bed doing something on my nightstand. He said, but then I turned and looked and you're laying in bed. And I went, what? And I said, did I say anything? He goes, no. And I said, well, then what happened? He goes, I fell back asleep. I go, well, you're no help. So, and other times when I was in Bosnia, I had that vibration. I was staying very close to the pyramids that they discovered there. And I was sleeping and I had that vibration. And I had the most vivid vivid dreams. When I came back, I remembered. So 2 weeks ago, I had a reading, and Robbie came in, and she said, this is incredible, but he's telling me that he's going to help you go to the astral planes. She said, he's showing me a ladder and you're climbing up the ladder into the clouds, but he's going to hold your hand and take you up through the different levels. And I said, why? And why do I need to go there? And his response was, because it's time for everyone to have access, direct access to the wisdom and knowledge that's available there and bring it back. He also emphasized, I'm not the only one that this is happening to. It's happening to thousands and thousands of people all over the world because we need that direct access. And so, I know that you all probably have your own experiences. Do not be surprised if this starts ramping. If you have, a lot of times when I'm out of my body, my dreams, I'm with tall beings and I don't always remember who they are, but I know they're talking to me. So why do you want to astral travel, right? It's for spiritual growth. It's for expanded consciousness. It's to help heal, like William Buhlman does, and energy work. It's to overcome your limiting fears and beliefs, because the more experience on that astral plane, the more you'll believe. And it's for personal development and interdimensional exploration. You are not limited when you are in the astral body to traveling just on Earth. You can go anywhere in the universe, anywhere. And it's not just limited to this present time. Past, present, and future are all one, but you have to learn how to do it. You have to learn how to control it. It's really a fascinating thing. So if we can bring up the last picture here. And this again is a quote from William Buhlman. And he said, "Be aware, the content and focus of your prevailing thoughts is critical to the result that you experience." It's kind of like what I was talking about, people that want to try the ayahuasca. Sometimes I think those things are shortcuts, and because we don't need them to do this, but you always have to do it with the right intention and love in your heart, and just know again that this is not a game. It's a very pivotal time right now. So I wanted to read, I know I have about 7 minutes here, so I think I'm okay. I sat, as I always do, and I get a message from my guide, Leonini, the day before this podcast. And I just love this message. This is what she said. "Almost all life on your planet comes from a seed of one form or another. If you think about what a seed truly is, it's a miracle. A seed is capable of recreating the being it came from. All of the information to accomplish this is held in a very small pod. But when that pod is activated, when it finds the right soil, when it is watered, and it is bathed in light, it begins to change, and soon the pod can no longer contain what is sprouting. You carry a seed within you. It is the seed of your Creator, the seed of your soul. And when this seed is in the right environment, when it is nurtured and watered, when it is surrounded by loving light, it too begins to sprout and grow. It grows into a being that is unparalleled. This seed that is within all of you is ready to sprout. The conditions are right. The love of the Creator and the divine realms surround you, and the living light gently coaxes that seed to grow. As in nature, not all seeds germinate, but you exist in a time when you will see more growth than ever before. Wait until you see what grows and how your world changes. Do your part to encourage the growth by always acting from a place of love, and you will all then bear the fruit of a new world." I just went, wow. So it's like, it kind of ties into astral traveling. It's like our bodies can't contain this astral body and this wonderfulness that we contain. So it almost has to come out and express itself, and we have to learn to work with it and be aware of it. So I just love that message. Okay, so I have 2 decks that I want to draw from. The one is called Gateway, and the other is, because we are astral cosmos, I want to draw Starry Beings. So let me draw a quick card. I'm so sorry again for all the interruptions. I don't know what's going on. I've never had that much trouble with my connection. I hope you hung with me. I hope you found this interesting, because I think truly with what Robbie has told me and what Leonini has told me is more and more of you are going to start experiencing this. So knowledge is power, guys. And always do it with the right intention. So I'm going to draw the first card, which is Gateway, and then let me shuffle the next one here. And this is called the Starry Beings. And I don't mean to freak out my friends. If you wake up and I'm standing at the end of your bed, I'm sorry, I have no control over that yet. I'm working on it. I have had a lot more flying dreams lately. So is my husband. And, don't get discouraged if you're working on this and nothing happens for a long time. Even William Buhlman, if you read his book, which I highly recommend, his first book, he'll tell you that it was kind of sporadic. When it happened, he'd have it, and then maybe a month or two or a week or two, and then nothing. And on my bucket list is to go down to the Monroe Institute. They teach you there at the Institute in Virginia. You can check that out. They have seminars and classes and stuff, and that's on my bucket list. So the first card is, and I just love this. Here's the card. It says, listening with your heart. I trust the message I receive from my heart. Leonini said, act from a place of love. So this card is reinforcing. And if you want to walk through this gateway into the astral, you do it from the heart. Okay. It all comes down to love. Always, always, always. So the star ape being, oh my gosh, I can't, you heard me shuffle these cards, right? This one says, and I'll show it to you, shine love on fear. Love will light up the darkness. So don't be afraid. This is almost a natural progression for us, but stand in love. Don't let fear overtake you. Again, knowledge is power, and trust. Okay. I hope you enjoyed today. Again, so sorry for all those interruptions. But I thank you. I will see you again next time. Take care. Bye-bye.